In this video, I'm going to show you how to get a massive early game advantage in Oblivion Remastered. And the best part, it's not some kind of grind, this one's really fun to do. I am of course talking about the Imperial Arena, one of the most overlooked but rewarding things that you can do right after the tutorial. Now, depending on your difficulty setting, you might be able to complete the entire thing immediately, but even if you can't go all the way because you've got it on a higher difficulty setting and it's too much of a challenge, then it's still 100% worth joining early, and in this video I'll tell you exactly why that is. But first of all, you're going to need to know how to actually join the arena. Well, luckily that's pretty easy to do. All you need to do is, as soon as you leave the tutorial, fast travel to the Imperial City Arena as shown here on the map, head through the entrance into the Bloodworks and speak to Owen to sign up. He'll give you a choice between light and heavy arena armor, and you have to wear this armor in order to be able to compete in the arena. So just pick whichever one suits your build. They're not great, but obviously you have to wear them, and if you're doing this first, then they're probably better than the armor bits that you picked up in the tutorial at least. Once you've equipped your armor, you can ask Owen to put you straight into a fight. And he'll also explain to you how you can climb through the ranks of the arena, from being a pit dog all the way to being the Grand Champion. Basically, you get a new rank every 3 fights. Then, after 21 fights, you'll unlock one final fight to become the Arena Grand Champion. Actually, I tell a lie, that's not the final fight, because technically once you become the Grand Champion, you can then go back into the arena to basically go into repeatable fights. Anyway, once Owen set a fight up for you, all you need to do is walk up the ramp into the arena. But there's a couple of things you need to consider before you do. Number one, make sure you save before you go into the fight. As soon as you go through the door that I'm showing on the screen right now, the game will autosave. But the problem here is, once it's autosaved inside the arena, you can't come back out. Not until you finish the fight. Then if you get stuck on a fight, of course, you've got a problem. So just get in the habit of saving before you go through that door. There's also a bug sometimes where the arena gates don't actually come down for the fight and you just get stuck there. And I can guarantee you that bug is still in the remaster as of right now, because it happened to me on the Grand Champion fight. So yeah, save the game. The other things you need to do is make sure you stack up on potions, because they're going to make it a lot easier for you to be able to beat these fights, and ensure that your weapons and armor are fully repaired. Once you've done this, you can get in there and complete your first fight, which should be a pretty easy one. That is unless you've cranked the difficulty way up. Once you complete the fight and your opponent's lying there on the floor, you might notice that they have nicer gear than you do. Unfortunately, you can't loot defeated arena opponents, with the one exception of when you face the Grand Champion. So at this point you need to leave the arena, go back to Owen, and he's going to give you your prize. And this is the first big benefit to doing the arena early on. For each fight, Owen will give you a progressively larger amount of gold. It starts with just 50 gold per win, but it scales up to 500, and the final match even earns you 1000 gold. Now, having several thousand gold available to you in the early game before you've barely even started your adventures is a pretty big advantage, and it's going to allow you to buy a load of stuff that you otherwise wouldn't be able to afford. It's honestly one of the best sources of gold in the early game. Now, while the gold rewards do go up, so do the difficulty of the fights as you progress. You end up facing better equipped enemies and a bit of a mix of melee fighters, mages and archers, and you even get from some 2 and 3v1 fights as well. In my opinion, the orc you fight at the end of the warrior tier is a significant step up on anything that came before it, as are the 2 3v1 fights, though in the second one, which is the most difficult one, you do have an animal pet to help you, and you can kind of cheese it by kiting all 3 of them whilst he just chunks away doing damage at them. I think he's called Porkchop. Anyway, he's a good lad. I will also warn you that the Grand Champion himself is a significant step up on anything that came before him, so that might well be where you get stuck. You might have to go away and get some better gear, or to be honest, you could just dynamically reduce the difficulty. It really depends on how much of a challenge you want, I suppose. I've just played it on Adept difficulty, and I managed to do it with the basic heavy arena raiment and a steel sword. I'd actually started with an iron claymore, but the fights were getting a little bit more difficult, so I just decided to go and spend some of my gold on a steel claymore. I probably could have just played better, but I'm lazy. One thing I will say that was a massive help, by the way, is the fact that I was able to use my Red Guard racial ability, Adrenaline Rush, for the more difficult fights. So if you're struggling on a fight, then take a look at your spellbook and consider if you're actually using the full capability of your character. Speaking of which, this actually leads me to talk about the second and third big benefits of the arena. That is that the arena gives you this amazing canvas on which to experiment with the different types of combat in the game. And not only that, it also levels your combat skills in a really efficient way. Which is why it makes sense to do it early on, because then when you go out into the open world, your build is going to be in a much better place and it's just going to feel more satisfying and impactful. I went to the arena straight after the sewers, and by the time I left, I was level 5 with some nice stats, and I'd got significant progress in my blade, block, heavy armor, and restoration skills. Anyway, if you can progress through all 21 fights, then you will get to the final fight against the Grand Champion, this beautifully stunning orc that you can see right now. Like I said, he is a step up, but if you can defeat him, then you get the title of Grand Champion, you get the Raiment of Valor, which I'm showing here. It's not the best item in the game, but it's certainly a really solid one to have early on. And you can even pinch the previous Grand Champion's Silver Sword if you like, which will help you against ghosts and other undead later in the game. And of course, many of you who have played Oblivion before will know that there is one more reward, the ultimate reward if you like, and that is the pure and unshakable adoration of this little guy. That's right, you gain the famous adoring fan as a follower, and if you so choose, he will accompany you on your adventures forevermore. Or of course you can just shove him off a cliff, as is tradition, but I'll leave that up to you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I have plenty more Oblivion guides and videos on my channel, and I'm making more for the remaster every day. So if you're interested in that, maybe consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.